Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. Although most of the people might say that Ethereum is really looking like crap, in this video I'm gonna try to show you from which angle Ethereum is actually looking pretty good. I'm gonna tell you the positives starting with the weekly time frame. Number one, we managed to go all the way in a V recovery and hit the trend line ascending that was keeping us as support from around June 2022. Of course, the bearish scenario is to admit that this resistance is just too strong and we are not gonna be able to break it, and we call it a dead cat bounce, and there you go. Then we are aiming for lower lows. If that was the case and I take this extension from the top of 4,000 into how high we managed to get, which is 2.8k, then the extension of one is giving us $144. There you go. That's the setup. That's the end of the video. No, I don't think so. And I'm actually heavily invested in Ethereum. It hasn't been pleasant, but here I am looking into the bottom of the drawer to see if I can spot anything that is worth chewing. And this is what I found. This bounce from the bottom of 1.4k into 2.8k, which is 100% performance, has managed to get into the golden pocket. That's one achievement. Achievement number two, we stick around this level right below the resistance, so far not giving up. That might change. If it does change, there has been no retracement. How low can we go if we needed a pullback to continue to the upside? Currently, the golden pocket of the retracement from 2.8 down starts from around 2.1k into 1955. So 2k is the golden pocket of this move up. And ideally, to completely discard that we are due for new lows in this area that is definitely areas reserved for a bear market, we have to defend 2k. So you might be thinking, okay, so you think we are going to 2k? Not necessarily, not so quickly drawing those conclusions. Let me show you something. RSI, we are right there against that resistance. With this move down, we are sticking around to that level, which is an RSI of 53, 52. Where is that in the price? Is that green line that doesn't allow the price to go anywhere. That's because that is the weekly resistance. Fine. In order to break out, we need to break that line. I think that we are due for a move down in here, somewhere around the 40s, before we actually break the full global resistance weekly. So let's say we go to an RSI of 45 on the weekly time frame. That will roughly send us back into the 2.2 area, slightly higher than the actual golden pocket. And one of the main reasons that I'm looking for a little bit more shallow move down on Ethereum is because of how many longs have already given up. Remember that we were talking about this area of value. That area of value developed during this bottom information of 1.5k roughly. We went into 1.4. All of that happened within the area of value. Then we went into resistance. We are seeing a rejection and we are back in the area of value. In order to go into the golden pocket and to targets below 2k, that means that we are giving up with this ascending channel of the bull market. We need to really go into this area here. My bet is that we are gonna stay a little bit in here and we're gonna reclaim and then do a move up to liquidate all the excessive liquidity at the top end. More on that in just a second. Another reason is because heavy profit takers in the green already acted in here and they couldn't manage to produce the effect that typically you see with heavy profit taking. So does that mean that there is no profit taking here? No, let me explain. In here, what we are seeing is these lows. That means that there has been, with the fake breakout and the move down, we have seen an increase in orders, positions close at a loss. And the further down that the SOPR goes in here, the more people are panic selling. And what happens when you get a wave of panic selling? You typically form a bottom. You get another wave of panic selling, usually less than the first one, and then eventually you get a reversal signal and you start climbing higher to again go in areas where people take big profits. Rinse and repeat. So my thesis is that we're gonna go lower into 2.2, 2.3, and potentially we are gonna target this liquidity that is sitting in here. Notice on the top, my settings on trading different are highlighting 10, 15, and more leverage. Why I do that? Because with these selectors, think of them as smart people, 3x, dumb people, 25 10x. As simple as that. It's not retail, it's retailed. It's a mix between retard and retail. You know, they go hand in hand sometimes. Too often. So 10x, 25x is located right here at 2.2. It ends at 2237 to be more precise. If we add 5x, we have another bucket that is at 2k. So those are the two low hanging fruits to produce a situation where too many people sold a panic to spike to the downside, the SOPR. We get the longs versus shorts as well going just too low for this stage in the market, and we can trap enough shorts to make absolutely impossible to let go for market maker such an amount of shorts group at around 3k and more. Notice if we do that, if we go lower than the current lows, which are located at 2.3, and we start going lower, if we go to this bucket, then we move the extension of 1 into 3.8. If we go a little bit lower, we move the extension of 1 into 3.5. Neither of those levels have a lot of liquidity. You can see at depression on the right hand side, the actual big liquidity is at 4.1. We had a breakout on the daily just on the 10th of June, but you can see that is battling with not making a decision. It's just dragging down, holding the breakout and not crossing back below the line. I will say if we go even to the first bucket, we are gonna see this turning into a fake out, and that is pretty much unavoidable if we have to go to either 1 or 2. So I think a long from 2.2 into the 2k should provide a great entry instead of longing in here. Of course, there are a few degen setups that we could say if you want to buy this support, assuming that you take in consideration that maybe we lose it and still go into the very attractive areas there, call it a degen setup. You can still trade that. Today during the FOMC, it makes it even more aggressive to enter in such a level, but there you go. We have 3 news for Ethereum today. Trump Media files for a Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETF. This is dated as 16th of June, but I'm not really sure if this makes any sense. It's dated 16th of June on 2025. Then we have Stake Ether. Supply hits an all-time high of 35 million. That's 28% of the entire supply now locked. And we have a third bullish news. Glassnode wells at 800k Ethereum per day. Those are large holders. I will say that adds up to my idea that whatever correction that we might be expecting from this area, don't assume that necessarily is gonna take the lows, because there's a lot going on Ethereum at the moment, not just on the news, but in this case together with data, which is what we primarily focus in this channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.